Since the dawn of history, the Arabian Peninsula has been blessed with a wealth of natural resources that provided its people with prosperity and success. From the fishing trade to diving for precious pearls, and then oil. Oil quickly became an energy resource to change the course of history, powering the world's largest cities, industries, and shaping the landscape of our modern world. With the discovery of oil reserves, the world has been set in motion, moving our vehicles, propelling industry and technological advances forward, and pushing human achievement onward. At Khafji Join Operations, we pride ourselves on the success of a true joint collaboration between Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, united by historical and geographical elements. With this joint venture dedicated to energy resources, Khafji Join Operations has become one of the most effective and established partnerships in the world. But this took many years to realize. In 1922, in the northern part of the Arabian Peninsula, a neutral zone was established between the Najd Sultanate under the Al Saud family and the state of Kuwait, then a British protectorate. This zone would facilitate free wandering for Bedouin traveling in the region. In 1953, both Saudi Arabia and Kuwait announced their respective rights to the continental archipelagos on the shores of the neutral zone, where they shared the underground and undersea resources. In 1956, each country would declare its dominance over certain parts of the neutral zone. That same year, it would be an ambitious businessman from Japan who would take the course of this partnership to a whole new level and initiate the oil industry in the area. Together with a group of Japanese entrepreneurs, Taro Yamashita established the Japan Petroleum Trading Company, after which Mr. Yamashita began explorations in the area, especially with offshore regions not yet explored for oil. After a year of negotiations with the government of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Yamashita had been granted concessions for future explorations. The Arabian Oil Company was then established in response to the support from the Saudis from the oil concessions, and under the mother company of Japan Petroleum Trading Company, the company was granted exclusive petroleum exploration and prospecting licenses by the Saudi government for 40 years with the following conditions. First, there would be a high annual rental fee for the property and drilling rights during the exploration period. Second, the Saudi government would receive a major share of the profits after the discovery of oil. Third, there would be a new oil exploration company to be incorporated in Saudi Arabia. This would be the first time ever that a Japanese company had ever obtained rights to explore outside of Japan. The next huge step, however, would be just as tremendously important: to persuade the Kuwaiti government to join this project and persuade them that this would be a vital project. 3 months later, the Kuwaiti government also granted concessions to AOC for 44 years. The two countries had succeeded in uniting and conceding the neutral zone for future oil explorations. This would bring new discoveries of wealth to the region, not only in oil explorations, but also in research involving the development of hydrocarbon reserves in the offshore areas. As soon as the Kuwait concession was granted, the joint venture was cemented, resulting in the partnership that would last for decades to come. Arrangements were made for a geophysical survey, including seismographic surveys by Geophysical Services International. A report revealed at least 4 anticline structures within that area that could contain oil. Very soon, Pipes, cement, drilling mud, machinery, and other necessary materials were sent to Khor al-Mufata as a temporary base. Soon the gigantic drilling barge Thornton also arrived to shore after a long journey from the Gulf of Mexico. A year passed before any drilling would commence, and there was a sense of despair among the workers. Would exploration begin soon? In January 1960, a drill stem test was conducted to measure flow potential at the site. Upon the first turn of the test valve, the drilling mud spouted into the mud tanks. Thick, black crude oil gushed out from the well, spouting richly from the ground. The flow meter rotated at tremendous speed, showing that the volume of oil emerging was huge. It was a tremendous, significant moment for the field staff. News of the success reached Tokyo, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. Very soon, production potential of that first oil well was estimated to be over 6,000 barrels a day. The offshore reservoir, ranked 30th among abundant oil fields of the world, was called Al-Khafji oil field. About 40 kilometers south of Khor al-Mufata, a small, desolate, uninhabited inlet nearby called Ras el-Khafji was designated as the permanent base. After investigating the area's geographical features, field offices and warehouses and material yards were constructed. A large wharf to accommodate cargo ships and a bridge connecting the north and south were completed. These new facilities had 4 offshore flow stations, each of which would gather oil from 10 oil wells, separating gas from crude oil. A central gathering station would collect oil pumped through transmission pipelines, storing them in crude oil tanks, then unloading them to ocean tankers. With all of these initial preparations, the first shipment of Al-Khafji crude oil was ready. A gala ceremony was held on April 3, 1961, to celebrate and commemorate the first shipment. His Highness King Saud of Saudi Arabia and His Highness Amir Abdullah Al Salim Al Sabah of Kuwait both honored the occasion with their presence. Each country would earn 10% for the company shares. They both assigned 3 members to the company's board of directors. But this would not be the end of the successes that the company would find in the region. In 1963, there was yet another central point of natural wealth that would reveal itself to the field explorers. A lengthy flow test confirmed the new successful location of the Haute Crude Oil Reserve, which subsequently started production and drilling 6 years later. In 1967, further expeditions were carried out, and yet another new oil field was discovered in February 1967, 61 kilometers northeast from the center of Al-Khafji field. This field, named Lulu, or Pearl in Arabic, would be joined by another field some months later by a larger field called Dura, or Big Pearl in Arabic. These fields were to become the base fields for the Al-Khafji operation. By now, the Arabian Oil Company had made Al-Khafji its permanent base and had constructed all the onshore supporting facilities required for its development, such as production and shipping facilities, as well as offices